Hi, your pal here, and welcome to 150 Days on a Deserted Island, where I get to turn this tiny island into a place I'm glad to call home. Straight away, we broke down a tree, and since I have actual ground underneath my feet this time, I mined until I got myself a full set of iron armor and tools, while making sure to cut down trees whenever they grew, making sure to make charcoal for torches. My island is my home, so the torches are a must to keep the place safe and mob-free, but our home was a very small place. So, having now acquired tools, I got started on our first major thing I wanted to do, which was to expand our tiny island to make it big enough for everything I wanted on it. So, I got my little chest boat made, but before I set sail on it, I did a quick check on Chunk Base and saw that nearby was actually a mushroom island, and decided that an island for an island sounds like a good trade to me. So I made a few shovels and set sail to get to work on getting dirt from my island and moving it back to a double chest on my island. Then once I had the chest filled, I figured that would probably be enough. Was I right? No, but I mean, things happen. Then I set sail once more, this time a little further past the Mushroom Island to the shores of the mainland, where I decided to cut down as much spruce and dark oak wood as I could for future builds on the island. Once my axes broke, I headed back to the island, storing the wood in a chest, and getting started on expanding our island. The first thing I needed to do was outline how big I wanted the island to become. And I'm pretty bad at terraforming, as you guys will tell later. But after a few revisions, I finally had an outline I was satisfied with. Now I needed to start the long process of diving down and building from the bottom up to the top of the outline, effectively closing off the island water from the rest of the ocean. Then, got to work on filling in the outline from the seafloor, which I really did not need to do. I could have easily just filled in the top layer, but no, I started filling it in. I have to see it through to the end, because I have commitment issues. I commit too hard. No. For real though, I have a hard time stopping what I'm doing once I've started and committed to doing something a certain way. Why? I don't really know. It's just kind of the way I am. Anyways, many days wasted and way too many trips to the Mushroom Island. I decided this was taking too long. So I made the sensible decision and decided to get full enchanted diamond gear so I could collect more dirt. I still needed the diamonds though, so I headed down in the mines and mined in a straight line at -58 until I got what I thought would be enough diamond ore uncovered. I also found some diamonds underwater that I wouldn't remember, so I decided to mine them before I forgot about them. Anyways, I had collected just enough obsidian to make a portal and an enchant table. Then once in the nether, I made a level 30 enchantment setup, using the leather gotten from many of mushrooms and the sugarcane I had been slowly growing around my island. Now we can get to enchanting. Unfortunately for me though, my portal led to a crimson forest, next to a warp forest, so nether quartz to level up would be hard to find. I was though able to find enough to get a fortune 3 pick. With that, I went back down to the mines and picked up all the diamonds I uncovered earlier, which was more than enough for a full set of armor and tools, with a decent amount extra. Now we run into our next problem. I need a decent amount of XP to enchant everything, and nether quartz was hard to find. So I could either venture further out in the nether to get XP from quartz and get lost because I'm directionally challenged. Like, very directionally challenged.
This isn't even the right game, man.
Whoa! Or I could avoid that and strip mine in the nether, which isn't very efficient, but as a side bonus, I get a couple ancient debris. But again, that's not very effective, so I decided to mine in the overworld for a while at the iron mining level. That way I can get a bunch of ores to smelt down and bonus XP. Sadly though, I mainly got copper ore, but it's still good XP. Then not having a major need for my pick anymore after getting the diamonds, I decided to go back down to the ancient debris mines. This time though, mining a smart way and getting any ores I see along the way. Also making sure after every enchant to get the furnace XP to get all my stuff enchanted to level 30. Then I had gotten just enough ancient debris to make 4 netherite ingots, so I put away my iron stuff and went to make my new diamond armor, netherite. Oh right, I need to upgrade templates now. Oh well, maybe I'll do it later. Then get back to dirt! I'm really glad you guys liked the Skyblock video because of that, I get to do more Minecraft videos, which I actually love doing. Like, I feel very fortunate to have you guys want me to do Minecraft videos again, like I did years ago. Just getting to have an idea and go and work on it and put all my creative energy into one thing at a time makes me really happy. Anyways, I finally finished filling in the island. And if you can't tell by the day count that the mistake of filling in the island is the reason we're doing to 150 days. But that just means more Minecraft for me, so I'm okay with that. After a delightful 3 a.m. sleep, I woke up in the morning and got to work on my favorite thing. That's right, getting more dirt from the Mushroom Island. Let's go. I just want to show you guys first though the damage we've actually done to this poor Mushroom Island. But before we do more damage to it, I'm very low on XP, meaning any shovel I make wouldn't be very good at getting dirt. So I think it'd be best for me if I went back to the nether to find a nether fortress. I looked on Chunk Base and saw there was actually a nether fortress really close, so a fairly quick trip and I was there. And if I didn't tell you I found it on Chunk Base, it would 100% look like cheating, because how is anybody supposed to find this from this spot? It's literally hidden beside basalt. Like, I have no idea how I'm supposed to find this if I'm coming from the portal I came from. Anyways, at the fortress, I got all the extra free loot while I was there, which It's pretty freaking good loot. Then while I was there, I made sure to do the thing we actually came for, which was to grind up skulls to make a haste beacon. Thanks to me getting lucky with enchanting earlier, my sword is looting 3, so it was a fairly quick trip killing withers for me to get the 3 skulls. Then I forgot to grab it at the fortress, so on my way back home, I stopped at my ancient area mine and picked up 4 soul sand I needed. Once home, I went down to my strip mine and spawned the wither. In normal fashion though, the wither was an easy fight, with some nice bonuses.
And there we are, Wither Star. Wait, you found diamonds for me? Cool, I got paid money to kill a wither. Dope.
After getting the rest of the materials I needed, I crafted a beacon and had just enough iron to make it able to grant me haste. I got myself a few bad shovels and set back off towards the Mushroom Island, this time beacon in hand for one final dirt trip. Oh yeah, I didn't tell you guys yet. The reason I need more dirt is in order to build up my island a bit and build a little mountain on it, or hill. We'll go with hill, it's more like a hill. After using my shovels to depletion, I felt I had finally devastated these poor mushrooms enough and was finally done getting dirt. With the dirt, I headed back home and started building the hill. That being said, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I'm bad at anything to do with building, and terraforming is no exception. I was originally thinking I was gonna make this hill big enough to fit a good sized Viking style mead hall or longhouse on top. You see, there was 2 potential themes I thought that I could do for my island. A more modern style with a lighthouse and shipwrecks in the waters around the island, which I think could end up pretty cool. Or I could do a more Nordic style island, taking heavy inspiration off the Viking people of old, which I ended up deciding on because I think it would be a lot more fun for me to do. But after building on my hill more and more, I realized how little space I was gonna have on top of it. So instead, I decided to use the hill as a kind of back wall, keeping my island and myself safer from the dangerous ocean waters. Once my hill was complete, I raised up the rest of my island 2 layers, making it seem more natural than before, but still flat enough and big enough for everything I wanted on it. After getting done with terraforming the island, I was finally done using dirt. For now at least. Meaning, it was time to work on other stuff. But before that, I wanted to make a subscriber wall. YouTube shows you who is subscribed to you if their subscriptions are public. So as a way to show appreciation, I like to make one of these walls in my world whenever I have the chance. This time, I decided to put it in the hill, and have it be a little hidden thank you to you guys, and have you in a way actually be a part of the island. And recently, I've had overwhelming support for my content, so because of my limited space, I actually had to make a tiny little mini wall in front of the other one for all those people who recently subscribed. And there's a lot of you recently who are not on the wall because your subscriptions aren't public. I just want to say thank you. If you're on the wall or you're just on it in spirit, thank you. I'm actually really shocked about how much you guys like the Skyblock video. But because of that, I'm gonna make more Minecraft videos, which are the videos I enjoy making the most. So really, thank you. Let's get back to working on the island now. Or I guess, now the builds on the island. The first thing I should probably build on the island is a house. But instead I'm gonna build the dock first. That way in my head I can map out where I want everything on the island to be. With the dock, I start out with plain spruce wood planks and use logs to look like a support for the planks. I decided to add little minor details to the bridge by making the logs in the water actually stripped. That way they kind of look like they're wet. And then also putting dark oak trapdoors on the sides of the dock, instead of just having it be plain planks. Does this look better than otherwise? I don't know. I'm not really a builder, but I like these additions. And I think as long as I like them, they're good enough for me. Now the top of the dock was looking pretty boring and plain, so I changed some of the planks randomly into stairs to add indents, making the dock look older and more worn down. Then I also put trapdoors randomly on the dock, which I think made it look nicer and not just one plain color. After those additions, I think our dock looks pretty nice, and I'm actually pretty proud of it. But there is one more thing I need to do before it's complete, and that's the lighting of it. Right now, it's so dark mobs can spawn, but I don't want to just put torches everywhere because it just doesn't look nice. So instead, I made a hoe and headed into the nether to collect a couple shroom lights. You see, block light sources such as shroom lights can permeate light through thin blocks like trapdoors and carpets. With this information and enough shroom lights collected, I put a shroom light on top of every log support and covered them with trapdoors, for an end result that I'm pretty happy with. With the dock done, I got a rough idea of where I wanted my house to be, and what I wanted it to look like. So I got to work on building my house. With the house, I wasn't super sure of how I wanted to build it because, again, I'm bad at building, but I had a rough idea of what I wanted my house to look like. I changed the frame around quite a bit until I finally got it how I wanted it. I wanted to make the entrance kind of protrude out from the main body of the building to make it look more like an actual entrance. Then I used the frame as kind of like an outer lining, making my main wall 1 block inward to make it have more depth and make it look more authentic. Eventually though, it became a 2-frame design. The outer one made for the first floor of the house, and the inner one for a much smaller top floor of the house. If you couldn't tell already, this house design was going to take a lot of wood. So after placing everything I had, I headed back to the mainland to continue deforesting the spruce and dark oak trees, when Mother Nature attempted to send me a warning sign to stop doing that.
How in the hell did I get... what just happened? Lightning and then a skeleton in the ocean? Why did the lightning go and then... I am so confused, but okay.
After getting such an ominous premonition, I did what any dumb idiot baby would do and continued to cut down trees. Enough wood collected for my house, I headed back home to get to work on the house. In the end, I made it kind of plain looking for the first floor, but it did have nice windows thanks to one build I saw having windows like that I had to copy. I also decided to put stone walls and wood fences in the corners, also from that same build I saw because I think they added a really nice look to the home. Then I also put trapdoors along the top of the inner walls because I think it added to it. I don't know if it really helped add anything really, but I'm trying my best, okay? I'm not really a builder. For the second floor, I was inspired by a different build I saw, with it being roofed opposite of the first floor, giving a nice perpendicular look to it that I really liked. Then for the roofing, I decided to go with a cobbled deep slate stairs with a wooden trim around it. I also added the little pokey things that are at the top of every Viking home. And it looks pretty bad. Looking at it now, there's definitely some things I would change, like changing the deep slate stairs to a darker color stairs like Blackstone. But I'm not really good at building and want to become better at it. And the only way I know to improve at something is by doing it over and over again and learning from your mistakes. So regardless of how bad it is, I am happy with me trying my best at it. Which is why a week later, after getting more wood from the mainland, I decided to not try my best on the next two builds. Because my builds look awful. Besides the dock, I'm actually pretty happy about that one. So I found tutorials for the next two builds that I actually really liked and will have a link down below. I wanted to have a simple portal design that I felt fit the Viking theme I was going for enough. Luckily for me, I found a nice portal design on YouTube made by the YouTuber Rectic7. So after following a quick tutorial, I had a nice looking portal that synced up to my old nether portal. And no, I will not be changing the nether side of the portal as well. I definitely could have, but I just didn't want to. I do want to make a good Viking boat though. So again on YouTube, I found a design I really liked with a fancy looking dragon head made by the YouTuber One Team. And after doing both of those with a tutorial, I think I'm gonna not do that again. Like they look really nice, but I don't get to grow creatively and become better at building because of it. And I also can't really add a lot of insight to it. So from now on, I am not using build tutorials. They look amazing. The YouTubers are doing a great job at doing them, but I don't get to learn anything from them. And I want to learn and become better at building. That being said though, the boat isn't finished. When I went to the mainland for wood, I was supposed to get all the resources I needed for these builds, but I forgot to get the wool and the red dye I needed. So, back on the mainland, I killed every sheep I saw until I felt I had enough wool. Then, while being chased by mobs, I picked enough flowers to make all the red dye I would need. Once back home, I hoisted up the sail onto the new ship, and finally got started on one of the main things that would make my place look nicer, and that's hiding the torches. As mentioned before, light blocks permeate through thin blocks like carpets and trapdoors. I've learned how much nicer and more natural you can make your land look by replacing torches with light blocks and covering them up with moss carpet. Luckily for me, at the very end of my strip mine is a lush cave, so I headed down there and collected all the moss I thought I would need, which isn't a whole lot. Then I headed back up into the nether to start collecting shroomlights with a diamond hoe. At first I was completely cutting down the crimson trees around my portal, but that way I was way too slow and inefficient. So instead, I decided to be smart for once and only get the shroomlights. I'm entering deeper and deeper into the warp forest as I went. And after not that long, I had enough shroomlights and carpets to start changing my island for the better. Hiding torches is a simple process with the only thing to worry about being making sure you don't place any on the outer edge of anything. Because sideways carpets don't exist sadly, meaning a decent amount of the hill torches have to stay, which I don't really like, but at least the top of the hill is nice and flat. With that, there's one final thing I think we should do to really bring everything together. But before that, I want to do another small build. I want to make a nice little pond next to my house. I should probably put it elsewhere to make things seem more spread out, but when I first started building it, I tried putting it elsewhere and I didn't really like the way it was gonna look. So next to the house, it is. I went for a circular design of my pond, making the wall a mix of blocks that blend well together. For the inside of the pond, I try my best to make the ground pattern seem as natural as possible. After filling in the pond with water, I placed my beacon in the bottom of it, having it grant me speed for now. Then I bone milled the water a little bit, trying my best to make the scene grass look as naturally placed as possible. And I put some lanterns on top of the water to add a bit more aesthetic. With the pond complete, it was time for me to do the main thing in my opinion that'll make our place look much nicer.
Bone milling all over my island in order to grow grass and flowers, making my island a lot more natural. After bone milling the final patch of grass, our place was looking really nice now, especially when it's raining. So with our place looking nice finally, let's focus now on our small extra stuff that won't really add much to how our place looks, but will be fun to do. The first extra small thing I wanted to do wasn't a thing, but a creature. Wait, not like that. I mean, I want to acquire a creature and make my island its new home. That's right, if you couldn't tell by the silhouettes, it's an axolotl. I want to get an axolotl or two and put them in my pond next to my house, making my area a little more lively than it currently is, which is kind of dead and empty. It's kind of just me. Man, it's pretty lonely on an island. I get why that one guy went crazy. Did you know on an island? Fun fact, did you know apparently Olivia Earhart, when she crash landed, ended up on an island and got ripped apart and left from limb by coconut crabs? Anyways, as stated before, my mineshaft conveniently leads directly to a lush cave biome, which so happens to be the only biome axolotl spawn in. So I set up my camera and let nature do its thing. Here we can see the average male in his early 20s, hunting for the elusive axolotl. He waits, bucket in hand, before he pounces on his prey, catching them. Despite being captured, the axolotl isn't scared, because you can tell the human just wants companionship. The axolotl can tell by the aura this human gives off, being from the no bitches variety, quite common from losers who play Minecraft all day. Hey, who said that?
Was it you, little guy?
No. Ah, okay. Wait a second. After bringing the axolotl to the pond, I decided there was more than enough room for another one. So now we have 2 friends. I was supposed to say yippee after this part, but if you can't tell, I'm sick, so... I wanted to make our new friends feel at home, so I think that I should upgrade my beacon to grant regeneration and resistance instead of speed. I'm sure they like having the zoomies as much as any animal at 4 in the morning, but the alternative is keeping them safe and me sane, which I much prefer. So I headed down to the iron mining level to strip mine again, but soon it turned into scuba diving for resources, which can be dangerous. When I surfaced, I was really close to my home, and had enough iron ore to fully upgrade the beacon. So I swam home, smelting them down into iron ingots, then turning them into blocks, and putting them underneath my pond, making my beacon fully upgraded. I quick switched the effect, and now my island is much safer. Too safe even. So I want some danger. Earlier I wanted to upgrade my armor to netherite, but I couldn't because I didn't have any upgrade templates. In Minecraft version 1.20 and later, the only way to make netherite armor and tools is to use both a netherite ingot and an upgrade template, which can only be found from a bastion. With this update, we also have new looks to armor, with armor trims that can be found in a variety of ways. However, both of them are one-time uses, which sucks because how rare they are. Luckily, both of them can be duplicated. Not for cheap, but they can be duplicated. Earlier when I was exploring the nether fortress, I got an armor trim I wanted to use. Meaning now the only thing I need is the upgrade template, which has a 10% chance to be in any bastion chest. So into the nether I went, using chunk base again to find a bastion close by with the treasure room. After tunneling for a bit through the walls of the nether, I finally dug through to see it. The bastion. Now, this was going to be very risky and very dangerous because if I die here, I lose around 30 hours of progress. At first, I was playing things very slowly, learning anything I could off the edge of the bridge. Then I started to take the bastions section by section, blocking off any side passages as I went. I resorted to playing it as safe as possible, blocking myself in as much as possible and attacking any toes in the way, while slowly going towards any chest I saw. After checking every chest I saw, I was down to one final chest. Wait, there's a chest over there. I was down to 2 chests and surrounded by magma cubes and piglins as I slowly tunneled towards the penultimate chest. But before the chest was one final hurdle. Do I risk it all to get the gold, or do I get the gold to risk it all? The answer is neither. How dumb do you think I am? Don't answer that. In the chest was the upgrade template I came here for. So I retraced my steps out, and since I decided not to take most of the gold, the piglins let me go without any hassle. Once back home, I made duplicates of the trim and the template until I had 4 of both. Normally I'd want to make an extra of each so I can make more duplicates, but I'm not planning to make any more because how expensive they are. It cost me 42 diamonds to make 4 of each. If I did 5 each, it would have cost me 56 diamonds, which I just can't afford. I was only able to afford the 4 because the extra I got from fortune early on, and the few extra I got while diving for iron. I think a good way for Mojang to combat how expensive getting netherite armor is would be to make M cities and ancient cities have netherite gear in their loot tables. Even if rare, it would still give more purpose to going to the end or to the deep dark. Like, I never go to the deep dark, and the only reason I ever go to the end is for shulker shells and elytras, and that's it. But regardless of how expensive netherite gear now is, I finally was able to make my netherite armor. With my armor now being netherite, I did the next obvious step. I started placing dirt in the water. Man, I love dirt. My reason for doing this was actually to make my island more smooth and down to the bottom of the ocean, instead of just a flat drop like it currently was. Previously, I was focusing heavy on making the land look natural, but this is underwater, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't care. So instead, I made it a flat line of dirt, progressively going down more and more to the bottom of the ocean. However, before I finished that, I decided there's something more important that I should probably do first. With how expensive my armor was to get, I should probably get mending on it, that way it doesn't break. So I grabbed everything I could think of to sell for emeralds, and I headed back to the mainland. I used chunk base to stop by multiple villagers trading for emeralds. Then once I got all the emeralds I could without waiting another day, I made a librarian and started a secular trade. trades. But after a while of not seeing a mending trade, I kind of got worried. So knowing that trades changed somewhat in the recent update, I panicked, googling if you could even get mending from villagers still. And I got even more worried when I saw a bunch of videos titled along the lines of how to get mending, all saying that you need a villager in a swamp. But I did some investigative journalism, aka reading the Minecraft fandom, and it seems like the old way still works, and the swamp thing is just for weirdos who want to clickbait. Like, why would I ever purposely bring a villager to the swamp?
Max the villager out for a mending book when I could just break this and replace it. Like, I don't... What? Why would I ever want to do that? Why are you clickbaiting me? I don't get it. So of course, after a little bit longer of cycling a librarian, I got it with mending. With the villager having mending, I bought all the books I could and then waited for it to come daytime again, and then bought a few more books before heading back home. Once back home, I put mending on my armor and the tools I wanted to make sure didn't break. With my gear now sorted, I went back to placing dirt, but I need a little more dirt for that, so I headed to what was finally my last trip to the Mushroom Island. Again, I'm so sorry, mushrooms, but I promise this time is the last. I let these sick freaks want me to do more days on the island, which I'm so done with. After filling my bountiful pockets with dirt, I headed back home, getting back to work on placing dirt. Once I got down to the bottom of the ocean, I used the rest of my dirt, filling in the little holes near my island. With the last piece of dirt placed, I was finally done using dirt for these 150 days. But of course, I didn't use up all of it. I had to keep some on the side just in case. I decided to take all the bones I had and turn them into bone meal. Then with the bone meal, I went around my island underwater, bone mealing the ground to make my ocean waters seem less desolate and unnatural. After not too long of doing this, I ran out of bone meal and got started on the next step to making my waters more friendly and safe. More importantly, safe. I am not alone in this ocean. Deep in the water close by is 2 guardian temples. Not 1, 2 guardian temples that I can actually see with shaders off from the top of my hill, which just shows how close they are. I tried to avoid them as much as possible by making sure to sail in directions away from them for resources, and also building up a hill to keep them out of sight, out of mind. But I am finally built up enough and ready to take the fight to them. Obviously, I can't completely get rid of every guardian in the ocean or prevent them from spawning, but I can get rid of the elder guardians near me, who have on occasion given me mining fatigue after a long, tiresome trip to the mainland. There are 2 things I want to do before I take on the guardians. The first one being repairing my armor and sword so I don't risk breaking them underwater. You see, my armor was important not just because the amount of protection it provided me or the amount of time I spent on it, but by the enchants I chose to get on it. I foresaw early on my need for water-based enchants, so when enchanting my armor, I made sure to get Respiration 3 on my helmet and Depth Strider 3 on my boots. Respiration 3 lets me stay underwater for a full minute without air, which really isn't that impressive considering all the things canonically you can do in Minecraft. Like, holding your breath a minute underwater isn't hard. I don't... What? Depth Strider 3 just lets you move so much faster in the water than without it. So to the Nether Fortress I went to repair my armor as much as I could from killing mainly skeletons and the occasional blaze. I also got an extra skull too, which is kinda cool, but after a while of killing, my armor and sword was more than repaired enough. So I headed back home and got started on the second thing, prepping for the temples. The only prep I want to do is just nice extra stuff like doors for air, since a minute isn't that long, depending on the context. Then also blocks to avoid getting hit by guardians, and milk for when I get mining fatigue from the other guardians. I noticed I had a few glowing ink sacks, so before I headed out to get the buckets of milk, I went back to my sub vault again, thank you, and highlighted the new subs. Then with the extra 2, highlighted 2 of my friends, one being this kid with the gray subtitles.
Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? Ah! Ah! I'm scared!
Huh? Yeah, that's what that king does? Interesting.
And the other being a friend who gave a cat a name and then stole it to use as their gamer tag. That poor innocent cat. After being devastated for that poor kitty, I went to go get some milk to drink away the worries. With the milk acquired, I was ready to clear out the 2 temples near my island. So I went back to the waters near my home and got started on the first temple, diving straight down to the top and facing my first Elder Guardian. Each temple had 3 Elder Guardians. And I wish I had more than that to say about these temples. I spent a bit of time prepping for these, but they were really easy. I mainly just free swam around looking for the other guardians, and using doors as both air and line of sight blockers, preventing me from dying. And each fish really is just a glorified punching bag, so these fights were also kinda boring, but once they were dead in both temples, I was able to get all the sponges and gold, which are pretty nice to have. After fully clearing those two, I headed home, happily knowing my island was a tad bit safer. Then I realized there was another temple close by according to Chunk Base, so I headed there and did the same thing I did with the other two, making our island's ocean Elder Guardian free. With the water safe, I felt confident flaunting my wealth. So once I made it back home, I put my newly acquired gold from plundering temples upon my boat like a true Viking. Then I really didn't like the way it looked at all, so I picked my gold back up and put it in the house where it belongs. With our final days ticking down, there wasn't much I could think of to do to the end, so I got back to bone mealing the water, using the bones I got from withered skeletons while repairing my armor earlier. After a couple days, our bones were used up and our waters were looking pretty lively. Then, after one final good rest, our time was also used up.
This video took me a while to make, but I'm really proud of it, so thank you so much for watching it this far. I'll try to upload my next video sooner, but these videos take me a while, so we'll see on that one. That being said though, if you want to see more of my content in the meantime, I started streaming Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays at 5 PM Eastern on Twitch. So you can click the link in the description to check out my Twitch or my new Discord to get notifications when I upload or go live. All that being said though, thank you so much for watching this video I've spent months working on. Oh yeah, I plan to in the future do 250 days of Skyblock, so if you're new here, consider clicking the 100 days of Skyblock video and giving it a watch. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you next time.